We live in 2025. All right. Let's see here. Okay. Okay. Hey, we cooking now. We cooking now. I connected the Instagram uh live stream, which is interesting. It's gonna be the first one. So I think it'll be a great way to kick things off. This is gonna be very interesting. All right. So speaking of extending, to different platforms, one of the things that I want us to talk about tonight is just the fact that high achievers, top performers, when was the last time you tapped into your creativity? I think that those who are, and I know some people say there's no such thing as work-life balance when you're doing, what you're passionate about or what you're obsessed with. There's no such thing as a balance. Take that with a grain of salt. All right. I do think that there is and should be some sort of balance, y'all. Something. There's got to be. Why? Because the brain can only and the body can only um, take so much of let's say of an overload or intensity of a particular activity or work. Y'all know that been on this health journey for a little bit. So one of the examples that I give you is when you go through, we have what's called kind of like the leaning down phase, and then the maintenance phase, and then kind of the bulking phase. We only lean down, if that's the right phrase. We only lean down so long. We can only do it at like 8 or 10 weeks at a time or something like that, until you need to even out a little bit. It's just how the body works. Now, can the time can the windows be different? Absolutely. Maybe it's 6 for some. I don't know. Maybe it's more than 2 months for others. But there's only so much that you can do by limiting the amount of nutrients, right? Because you're reducing the amount of nutrients that you should be receiving, and your body is going to catch up. It's going to cry out for help, and usually it does that by you getting sick, right? And then you have to really start pumping, or increasing the amount of not necessarily medication, but the support that you would need, the medical support that you probably would need, the rest that you probably would need. Like, it puts everything else in overdrive so that it can counterbalance the stress that you put it under, right? So I think the same thing happens with creativity. What's your outlet? What is it that you are, maybe at one time you were passionate about, that you were excited about doing, and for some reason or another, you just kind of continue to put it on the side, and it's been put on the side so much that now you almost forgot that you knew how to do it, or the passion isn't necessarily there for it. What do you do? In other words, what do you do outside of work? What do you do? And so funny, I was watching this particular show, and then this guy, like a retired millionaire, was like, all he enjoys doing is, going to hotels and sitting at the beach, or at the poolside, drinking wine, traveling, etc. And the the person, he was looking for a mate. So the matchmaker told him, this is all superficial stuff. Like, what else about you is interesting? Like, all of that other stuff is yeah, it's cool, but is there any more depth to you than just sitting by the pool and drinking wine, right? And by the way, this guy's probably maybe in his 60s, or late 50s. Point is, I mean, yeah, it feels like he's lived his life, and now he deserves that time, kind of reclaiming that time to just have a bit of R&R. Cool, nothing's wrong with that. But here's the thing. I think this is important to note. When they were going through the process, and she was pushing him and digging for more, we come to find out that he knew how to play the piano, and he did it very well. And so, as much as he, is by the poolside, and there are other parts, facets of him that he was able to express and to share, with I guess you could call them the candidates that were that were um, that were selected for him to choose from in order to find his potential life partner. Point being that even this guy who worked very hard and now he's, kind of swinging on the other side of the pendulum and not doing much at all, he still had some creative uh, uh, he just still had some creative energy that was just suppressed to the point that it took a coach, it took somebody to dig in and to help him to realize, listen, you are more than what you let on. Let other people know that. Now, there are other ways that you can share that, right? You don't share everything for example, on every platform. So I'm actually going to do a live example of that creative energy, but I ain't gonna really do it on LinkedIn. I think that LinkedIn is still the professional platform, but I will be. Hey, we're gonna be lit and live on the other ones though. And I definitely will be there, showing you the example of my personal creative energy and what I would express and how I would express it, and to tap back. This is why I'm doing this, because I'm tapping back into it, y'all. So how do you do that? Well, first thing is you need to carve out some time. You need to carve out a dedicated, more than likely after work creative time. It's more than likely going to be after work, unless you decide to wake up super early and to do it then. You're probably going to be you're probably going to be doing it after, excuse me, after you get off work. And the reason why is because if you're always on, you might lack this mental or the mental space to just generate fresh ideas. So if you just set aside specific time, and that specific time is outside of work, the goal here is that you kind of protect a sacred window for your creativity to flourish, right? So that's the first part, is you're carving out this time to protecting that window of opportunity for you to be creative. So if anything, the first step that you have to do is you got to be protective. Why? High achievers, you can, if you're not balanced, and I know I'm using the word intentionally because some of us is like, this is not the season for balance. I got to go all in. I'm telling you, you can only be unbalanced for so long, and something is going to course correct. And usually physical health, mental health is like the top two that start to weigh on you. So protect that window. Okay. One of the things that you can do is just as simple as just picking a daily time slot. Even right now, I have a daily time. I don't even have a daily time slot per se. It's just after I eat, I'll go in. Or sometimes it's before I eat. That way I'm a little bit shorter and more to the point, and then I can eat. So even me, I'm playing around with my time slots, but I'm not letting the time slot selection impact me showing up. I'm showing up because that's the most important part. I will work out the specific time frame a little later, but for right now, daily. Now, it could also be weekly, okay? Like I said, it can be after dinner. It can be maybe weekend mornings if you want to wake up early enough to do so. Quiet Saturday or Sunday afternoon, whatever it is, you want to commit to it. And then you want to use this time solely for personal creative pursuits. So whether that's writing a short story, whether that's practicing photography, experimenting with watercolor paints, that's what you want to protect that time for. So what I'm going to be doing is, at some point, I'm going to be doing more of this too, y'all. I'm going to be sharing my creative pursuits on live. This should be fun. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how that goes. And so, quick example, like, if you have somebody, we can call him Samuel, right? So Samuel's this busy consultant. What he does is he chooses to block off a 7 to 8 p.m. time frame on just Tuesdays and Thursdays, not every day, just 2 days out of the week. And what Samuel is doing is he silences his work notifications. So he cuts Slack off, Microsoft Teams, all of that. He hushes it, even his phone, with other notifications. And he spends each session practicing, let's say, the guitar. And over a month, what Samuel is doing, he's now realizing, oh, you know what? I want to just start composing some short melodies. So now he's kind of regaining a sense of artistic freedom that he felt was lost in the constant demand of his job. Because sometimes you don't even realize it was really lost until you tap back into it and you're like, wow, I missed this. I like this. I want to do more of this. Right. One of the ways too is just kind of be around people who are doing it and it inspires you too. Um, okay. So after you carve out some time, you got to protect that sacred window. If you don't know what it is that you're protecting, then experiment. I'd say that's the second step. Experiment with a variety of creative outlets. All right. So sticking to one familiar hobby can sometimes just be monotonous. It can be limiting to your creative growth. So what you can do is you can just start exploring different mediums. So think of pottery, think of creative writing, digital art, think of dance, all of these things, right? These things are ways of you just kind of diversifying and branching out. Take a class if you have the ability to do so, right? And I remember back in the day, actually, it was like around elementary, middle school. Our parents actually had us do these. Some of you might remember this too. Uh, I'm pretty sure they still have it, but these extracurricular activities, but it wasn't at school. It was programs, not necessarily a program, but these classes that were at schools. At certain schools, was like night classes for certain things. And our parents put us through, my sister and I, through an art. I think it was an art class, which was pretty cool, and that actually built the platform for me to continue that through middle school. Got through an art program in middle school, and then continued going through that particular program in high school. And then from there, it really did shape, because then I got the interest in architecture, and then realizing that I pivoted in like my sophomore year in college, and then just went straight to communication. And very interesting, y'all. Very interesting. I will say this. If you don't know what to choose, explore. All right. Explore. Use your dedicated after work creative time that we just talked about in step 1 to try at least one new art form or one new technique, and maybe every few weeks, right? Unless you just really just like, I'm not feeling this, then switch to something the next week. But rotating between creative activities. So like maybe you're painting one week, maybe you're doing photography the next. It helps to just keep things fresh, and it challenges your mind to adapt. So quick example, I don't know, think of somebody like I don't know, maybe they're a software engineer. Her name is Priya, let's say. And what she does is she spent her designated Saturdays. So let's say Saturday mornings now. We looked at the evenings, so maybe this Saturday mornings, nice and quiet, just taking this creative time to try out various crafts. So 1 month, Priya delves into candle making. Candle making is dope too, by the way. I just want to say, it's fun. It really is fun, and it takes some patience. But the next, maybe it's like watercolor basics. Watercolor is very interesting as well. You're talking, or you're looking at somebody who's done those things, but not necessarily because I was like, oh, I'm going to pursue it, versus I've had the opportunity to do it while I was, still in the academic setting, and kind of testing those things out. But some of it too has also been through like work socials as well, like the candle making one. That was really dope. So get you a work culture where y'all do socials, man. That's also cool too, because then you guys can have outings and things where you guys are doing things together, and maybe trying out some new activities that you never thought of. All right. But, with her kind of doing these things, this variety ignited her curiosity and maybe even her creative thinking, which then could also later help in her approach to complex coding problems. And just kind of looking at them from new angles, right? Because that's what creativity does, right? So we look at carving out a dedicated time. More than likely, it's going to be after work, unless you save or protect your weekends for that kind of a thing, right? So protect that window of opportunity to be more creative. And then you want to experiment. If you don't know what it is that you're going to protect that window for, experiment with a variety. Maybe 1 month you do one thing, the next month you do something else. All right. And then from there, what we focus on is reflecting, evolving, and sharing your creations. There's a great book, see if I can find it. It's called Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Talks about wearing your amateurism on your sleeve. Um, and basically, you are creating work and you are sharing it with the world, which is what I'm going to do in a very short bit after kind of giving you guys these examples. I'm going to walk the walk. So, reflection, and this is kind of what we talked about yesterday, right? Reflection helps you to identify what sparks your enthusiasm and also what doesn't, because not everything is going to strike as like, yes, this is, there are things that you're going to be like, no, I'm not really feeling that, and that's okay. That's good. It starts to let you know what's not to kind of focus on, and so when you do that, and then you also share your creations, or maybe even just talking about them with friends, family, online communities like this one, what it does is it provides valuable feedback as well that can also propel further growth. Sweet spot is when you find something that you enjoy, that you love doing, and your community loves you doing it, and you just find that sweet spot. Your community grows. There may be some future opportunities for some other things, partnerships, who knows? So at the end, I would say of each creative session, you don't have to be so, religious about this, but jot down a few notes if you feel like this. If you don't, then it's okay. Don't worry about it. But if you just, at least at the very least, just take some time to reflect on it. Okay. So if you don't want to write down notes because it just feels so, you know, academic, right? It feels so formal, then don't write down anything else. But at least think about it. Like think about how you felt, what inspired you, what challenged you. And then based on those reflections, at some point, you want to refine your routine. Okay. So think about, you know, maybe you found music more invigorating than you did painting. And then just adjust your schedule accordingly. You may realize, wow, you know what? Mornings, I'm actually more creative in the morning than I am after work. When I get off from work, man, I'm drained. So maybe you want to switch to in the mornings, right? Maybe you don't do every day. Maybe you find a good cadence that's maybe 3 days out of the week. Or maybe you do need to do every day. Maybe you just do the weekends. But once you feel comfortable, when you reflect and you start refining, once you feel comfortable, just start to post your creations. I know you're probably like, why would I want to even do that? I don't want to be those people that's like taking something that's sacred and just sharing it. Well, it doesn't have to be online then. Okay. But what I would say, if you're not kind of posting your creations, in like maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of, let's say on X, maybe a hobby or some sort of creative forum, like community, right? Like it's more the word is community, not forum that they use on X. Then maybe invite your friends over, perhaps for a casual show and tell. Or um, the point is, don't keep it to yourself unless you have to. What do I mean? There are going to be some creative outlets that's just for you and you alone. Not everything needs to be shared with the world, right? But then there's some creative outlets that's designed not just to bless your spirit, but it's designed to inspire, to motivate, maybe challenge, depending on the work that you're doing, someone else. So keep that in mind. In other words, don't be selfish with it. And also, really, outside perspectives can also validate your progress, and offer some fresh ideas. Keep it to yourself, you might be doing the same exact thing. Not naming any names, but there are some writers out there in the world of television and movies where they're great at what they do and they don't need anybody. And then there are those that, man, if you just brought on some other people in some of your work, it wouldn't sound like the same stuff over and over and over again. Like, get a team, right? Everybody has their role in their lane and like the places where they need to improve. So for instance, like maybe you are like a weekend photographer, and I'm using some of those creative outlets, but it can be anything. It could be knitting, it could be um I don't know. Now I got to think of a list of creative things. I'm drawing a blank, but let's just use photography. So we talked about, let's see, we had Samuel as the consultant, we had Priya as the software engineer. So Sarah. So Sarah's this weekend photographer, and she's committed to trying street photography. Every Saturday, she's going out in the afternoons, and then after each outing, what she does is she reviews her shots and she's looking at the angles and noting which ones or themes that resonated with her. And then what she does is, let's just say, she shares her favorite images on a local photography, I don't know, Facebook group. Let's say I don't even use Facebook, but let's just say she's using Facebook or TikTok. TikTok's about to be banned. My goodness, Sarah? What can you use? um, and then what she gets in the comments is like encouraging words and maybe even some constructive feedback that is inspiring her to refine her technique and to just keep shooting new perspectives every weekend, right? So listen, 3 things. Carve out the time. You want to protect it. Next, you want to block out any recurring, you protect it by blocking out, a recurring time slot after work or before work or on weekends. Remember, this is for your creative pursuits. That's what you want to do. So just a block. Maybe it's not even an hour. Depends on what you're doing. Maybe it's half an hour. All right. So carve out that time, protect it. Explore multiple mediums. If you don't know what it is that you're carving out that time for, some of y'all know what it is. I know what it is. You know what it is. We want to tap back into that. Cool. But if you don't know, explore like that. Explore. And then reflect. Reflect on it. Ways that you can maybe not even improve or choose a certain direction, but maybe the routine itself, not even touching the creative part, but maybe it's like, maybe I need to switch this to 2 times a week versus doing it just on the weekends, whatever the case is, but then share. Okay. So reflect and share. That's the last step. So after each session, you want to try to end it with some self-reflection. How did I feel after that? Do I feel energized? Do I feel drained? What could I do differently? What are some obstacles that I had? Why did I pause when I, was like, okay, I'm going to go candle making today. And I didn't really, what are those? Because then you can maybe take some of those hesitancies and maybe transfer it at some point, not in that creative space, because then you're sullying your creative pursuit with the work all over again, with the professional work. You don't want to do that. Make it sacred, make it solely just for your creative endeavor, and then share your work to gain feedback and to get further inspiration if necessary. All of the internet is not unforgiving. Okay. I would venture to say that the majority of the internet is quite positive. Well, the majority of the internet we can see. Al Gore's internet. How about that? Which now some people would call like Keith Lee's internet. There's a whole different kinds of versions of internet. We're still going with Al Gore's internet, right? Okay. So if you follow these 3 steps, remember, outside of your working hours, then I do think that you can gradually reignite your creative spark in a way that's sustainable, right? Without blending it into your job responsibilities and feeling like, there's this tension and, so just kind of keep that in mind. Right. Okay. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop off. I'm going to hop off on LinkedIn, but I'm going to stay on the other platforms and we're going to do this live, y'all. Okay. So hang tight. Let me get myself set up. LinkedIn fam, I'll see y'all later. For the rest of you that are still on, what we're going to do is I'm going to share my screen. Man, the last time, y'all, that I did this was, I couldn't even tell you. It was quite some time ago. What I probably should do, I probably should have some like music or something and get the vibe going. You're probably wondering, what is it? What on earth is it that he's about to do? What is he about to get into? I'll show you. This is just got a simple screen here, and we're going to write some poetry. So I'll dive into why I'm choosing to do it now. Simply put, the other day, I just get my steps in, walking around the city, and on one of the street corners, there was these individuals that were uh, they were kind of doing a cipher, but in our mind was like, it's not really good. But hey, listen, they were out and they were expressing themselves. Those of you that don't know what a cipher is, it's basically a group of people that are rapping and they're sharing the mic, so to speak. And in this case, there actually was a mic. There was a literal mic this time. Somebody had a mic and I guess connected to a speaker. And so people on the street corner and they're just freestyling. So you're freestyling, and then as soon as you're done, you hand it to somebody else, and then you just kind of keep going around and around until the vibe is over. And so I saw this and I was walking and I was like, oh, okay, that's cute. I once upon a time I've had that in me. And as I kept walking, I heard, I guess, the person who was probably orchestrating the whole thing was like, are there any other MCs out there? And y'all, when I tell you that my heart dropped into my stomach, it was almost like a call out. And the only reason why it was a call out was because it was something that I started considering doing again for this year. If I'm honest with myself, let me be really honest with y'all, 100% honest with y'all. If I'm honest with myself, even the streaming that I'm doing now won't feel complete unless I tap back into that creative energy. Hell, even if I start just reading lyrics and just, even if it's that, like, I think that still will scratch that itch. So I'm in a place where I'm like, you know what? It's time to tap back in. Time to tap back in. Can't just tell you guys to do it without doing it myself. So the difference is I'm gonna do it live. So that's the difference. And I'll find a way at some point to kind of do this in a way that would include more, I guess, more of a dynamic. Because right now, as I'm going to be writing, it's going to be quiet, and you guys won't really hear anything. There's going to be no music, so I got to find a better way to work that out. I know I can use like OBS and some other software to zhuzh things up a little bit, but right now we're just gonna keep it simple. All right. Okay, cool. So I usually don't talk about these things out loud. I usually internalize it. So let's see. What we probably could first talk about is let's see. We're going to talk about reigniting the passion, right? So we're going to talk about reigniting the passion, and maybe the way that we address reigniting the passion is with my own story, dealing with the street corner. All right. So got two things to work with. We got like the theme, and we've got a context. All right. And so now I'm going to have to be vulnerable enough to figure out what it is that I'm going to say. I don't know. I'm still on the fence of whether or not I should be saying this out loud for y'all, or to just to internalize what's happening right now, so that I can, give y'all my best work. We'll see, because I think faster silently than I do out loud. All right, so we'll just see y'all. Okay. First line is always the hardest, and it'll probably change always anyway. So, who would have thought that night would do this? And I'm the kind of spoken word artist. I've kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say evolved. Every line doesn't have to rhyme, so that when it does rhyme, it just feels more appreciated. All right. So, okay. So, who would have thought that night would do this? It was almost ambushed. In this case, starting it up would obviously be reigniting that passion, right? We'll see how this works. Who would have thought that night would do this? It was almost as if I was ambushed to start it up again. Some of this is going to have to change, y'all. All I wanted to do was get my steps in. And then sometimes with pieces, you can do some of the rhyming in, like I was in store for more, like you can kind of do it like that as well. And y'all kind of see some of that. So I was in store for more. Than just 10K completion. All right. And I think it was on the corner of 24th as well, by the way. So a lot be happening on 24th. Listen, tell you. I think it was on 24th Street. They did have Misfit energy. So I'm going to put Misfit. On the corner of 24th was a group of misfits. All right, who would have thought that Knight would do this? It was almost as if I was ambushed to start it up again. All I wanted to do was get my steps in, but I was in store for more than just a 10K completion. On the corner of 24th was a group of misfits exchanging energy. Okay, yeah, I'm not really too hype about this, but we're gonna rock with it. I could always, and this is the beauty of it, you can always refine it. All right. And you can just take it from there. Walking past. Any of it to even though I was intrigued, because I was intrigued. I was like, oh, what are they doing over there? I already don't kind of like how it's going, but sometimes you got to get through this part. Let me see if I zoom out so that you can get to the stuff that you really want to say. Let's see if I extend this out a little bit more. Okay. Who would have thought that Knight would do this? It was so I could even maybe even portray this as like a traumatic experience at the beginning, and I think that's the direction that I want to take. It was almost as if I was ambushed to start it up again. So it's almost as if I'm talking about like an addiction, right? All I wanted to do was get my steps in, but I was in store for more than just a 10K completion. On the corner of 24th was a group of misfits exchanging energy. It does kind of low key. Now that I'm thinking about it, does kind of like feel like I'm building up to this dramatic, like, yo, on the corner, like, what are you doing on the street corner, guy? Like, what's going on here? I might have done it unintentionally, but I was kind of looking for a way to bring in, right, this draw back into the spoken word situation, but without it sounding like, and then I ran into people creating a cipher. I didn't want to do that way. Okay, so on the corner of 24th was a group of misfits exchanging energy. Walking past, I didn't expect any of it to rub off me, even though I was intrigued. Energy rub off me. It's not it's not clean, but even though I was intrigued. Okay. Only after walking past. Okay. So walking past, so maybe, I not that I took a pass. What am I thinking about? Um, oh, okay. We can get a little bit more creative now. If we're talking about like, if this was so like I smelled the scent, that kind of a it's almost as if we're talking about food here, but in this case, it's not food. It'd be like a drug, right? It's like I smelt the scent, kind of like it's just pulling you back. It's like, no, I'm good. And then the gut punch when somebody calls you, I was like, is there anyone else? And then that's when I turned. Oh, by the way, I didn't tell y'all. So I didn't go up and do anything, by the way. I just walked back and came and then just kind of watched and see what everybody else was doing. And then I left realizing, okay, I gotta get back into this. Not tonight. Not tonight. Like freestyling for who? For what? With what? I'm gonna embarrass myself. There's a lot of people that was trying to do the freestyle. Some of them were probably high, but it just was not. It was just not great. But I did use that as a challenge. It was a moment. It was the call to adventure. As y'all know, I love talking about the hero's journey. That was definitely a call to adventure. And perhaps, maybe, who knows? Maybe I should have answered the call right then and there because it was a call to an adventure to do something right then and there. And then maybe something would have unlocked when I just showed up and just something would have just everything would have just flowed. Maybe not. Maybe I would have just had to use that as the example of, just because, you feel like you should do it. Don't mean you need to do it right now. But either way, we're gonna go with this. All right. So um the scent of uh how do you spell camaraderie? Camaraderie, I think it's like this. Camaraderie. No, I think it's like CA, right? Yeah, CA, I know it. Each one. No, sir. Lowercase f. Fill their lungs and puffed out words. So you can do things like that. Words that were heard. Less than a block away. I don't know. Okay. I felt the smell. I felt the smell. I smelled the scent of camaraderie and excitement as each one filled their lungs and puffed out words that were heard less than a block away. All right. So now I'm attempting to connect. I'm now attempting to connect like this idea of someone using words as smoke, ideas as smoke, maybe, and just kind of that kind of a thing, which I've never smoked a day in my life, but we can imagine. All right. And I think it's probably more friendlier, more friendly to talk about it being smoked than smack. Would it even matter? All right. So more than a block away. This is a long line though. Probably gonna shave that down too in a more concise way. Um, I thought it was good. No, there's got to be something right before that. Smelling the scent of excitement. Yeah, block away. Did I really peer? No, I didn't really peer through the crowd. It was a nice crowd, but it wasn't like crazy like that. I was like, oh, who's that? Um, I don't know. Looking at the crowd, I wasn't impressed to, let's say, partake. I be lying. Said I wasn't curious. So at some point, if I revisit this particular piece, I would definitely play deeper into, you know, allowing the audience to be like, oh man, this dude is a recovering addict or something like that, right? And then when it shapes up even more, like, oh, he's talking about poetry. Oh, genius, right? That kind of a thing. So we'll see. And it makes so much sense because now that I'm thinking about it, reigniting the passion, lighting up, could be a thing. Could be a thing. Looking at the crowd, I wasn't impressed to partake, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. Um, so I walked past, and I'm using the word again, walking past and walk past. So maybe so I kept walking, and I think there's something right before keeping walking too. Kind of like I wasn't curious, but it's like, but I refused. Something like that. I put it in there. But I refused. Used to. I already said partake already. I don't know. I refuse to join. Let's see. I don't know. Now I'm using Markdown here, so usually brackets and stuff create like a whole different thing. Like it creates that kind of stuff. So I got to use like just regular. Yeah, can't remember what they're called, but the angle brackets work. Okay. So I kept walking and was almost in the clear until I hear. What did he say? Who's the next MC? Something like that. I can't remember the exact words. I know it wasn't who's the next MC. He did use the word MC. Um, maybe he said that wants to go next. Something like that. Something like that. As you can see, I'm starting to build up this momentum now, and if I keep talking, I'll miss it. So I might not be able to do that, and I just probably just have to shut up and let it flow. But so I kept walking and was almost in the clear until I hear who's the next MC that wants to go next. I felt it in my chest. My heart stopped and dropped to my stomach. My esophagus blocked, wanting to vomit. Like you see, like it's like that kind of a blocked. I wanted to vomit. Something like that. Wanted to vomit, but couldn't. Turned around and walked back with the belt. I shouldn't. I grabbed that night. Stage fright, one word? Oh, 2 words. Thought it was 1 word. Wouldn't have had stage fright. Okay. All right. So here we go. We've got some to work with. Right. Remember, we're reigniting the passion. So I think at some point I need to talk about how I lit it up. Well, technically the lighting up is happening tonight, actually. So, and for some of this too, hey, listen, y'all, I'm not gonna sit here and say that it's all the words, right? It's all about the words. It's not. For me specifically, and for those of you that even now, if this is the first time that you're hearing or listening to me, it's how I deliver the words. So of course, there is a part of me that I can get real clever, and maybe we work on this for a little bit, and we continue to refine this on the streams until it's done, right? But the point is, as clever as I can get, I know that it's the delivery, it's my voice, it's all of those things. Now, what I can tend to do is instead of having to put commas and pauses everywhere, I do have a knack for knowing where I probably should pause, unless I know for sure it always has to be this particular spot. Then I'll put like an ellipsis or something. But for the most part, I kind of know how to do it. Okay, so I'm gonna read it. I'm not gonna read it in a dramatic way, but just so that you can get a feel for the flow. Let's see if you can get the flow for this. Who would have thought that night would do this? It was almost as if I was ambushed to start it up again. All I wanted to do was get my steps in, but I was in store for more than just a 10K completion. On the corner of 24th was a group of misfits exchanging energy. Walking past, I didn't expect any of it to rub off on me, even though I was intrigued. I smelled the scent of camaraderie and excitement as each one filled their lungs and puffed out words that were heard less than a block away. Looking at the crowd, I wasn't impressed to partake, but you see how the away and partake, sometimes there are ways that, like, it happens, and even if I didn't expect it to happen, like it happens, right? So I smelt the scent of camaraderie and excitement as each one filled their lungs and puffed out words that were heard less than a block away. Looking at the crowd, I wasn't impressed to partake, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. But I refused to join. So I kept walking and was almost in the clear until I hear, "Who's the next MC that wants to go next?" I felt that in my chest. My heart stopped and dropped to my stomach. My esophagus blocked. I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't. I turned around and walked back, but felt like I shouldn't. If I grabbed the mic that night, I wouldn't have had stage fright. Okay, that's all right. Yeah, we kind of building up. We kind of building up. All right. So that's the build up. Okay. Uber Eats is telling me that I need to buy some tacos. I shall not do it. That is a trick of the devil. I saw it on the podcast. There was a Secrets to Success podcast. Trick of the devil. Oh my gosh, that joint was hilarious. Hilarious. Give me a second here. All right. Anyway, guys, I think it's in a good. No, it's not. This is far from done. Who am I kidding? This is far from done. But at least we got somewhere. We got somewhere here. All right. Let me check what y'all saying. Check what y'all saying in the chats and whatnot. I don't see anybody saying nothing. That's okay. It's interesting. This is the first post on my My new IG account too. Ooh, is this gonna be a poetry account? I don't know, y'all. I don't know. All right, cool. Who would have thought that Night would do this? And sometimes you just got to read it over and over again. I don't know if y'all ready to rock with me for this, but if you are, listen, I'm here. Twitch, where we at? I see some Twitches. Twitches, you watching? I have this distinct feeling that the one that's always on Twitch ain't really a real person. But I'm gonna find out right now. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna check right now. I'm actually gonna go because I use StreamYard to stream, so I'm gonna just double check and see if Twitch, you rock with me. Let's see. Hold on. How do I think it's the creator dashboard. It doesn't show. Okay, I see it. Shout out to the one viewer. Oh, I got more followers now. That's dope. That's cool. Okay. For whoever is watching right now, welcome. Welcome. I wish you would just kind of like give me a little shout out, let me know that you actually are here. But all right, let me go back and focus. Oh, one of the other things too that I just noticed on Twitch is that I need to update the tags. All of the tags are the same from like last week, which is wild. So I actually need to change those up. And it looks like I spelled decisiones. Oh wow. Okay. Anyway, guys, let's get back to what we were talking about. Let's get back to the task at hand here. As you can see, it's work. This is work. We're not even an hour in, and I think I spent the first 15 minutes talking about how to tap back in, and I'm already maybe 45 minutes, maybe not even, maybe 30 on this, and I'm already your boy's already. I'm drained already, but that's okay. That's all right. We're gonna work this out. Now, remember we talked about like how do you feel? So while I'm doing this process, I do kind of feel like, do I really want to do this? But at the same time, I know that it's something that, for me, it's going to take a lot of work. But then when it's done, you're like, yes, I'm glad I stuck through it. Now, all creative activity doesn't have to feel that way. But unfortunately for me, it's gonna feel like giving birth. And I've never, obviously, I will never know what giving birth feels like. But I could imagine that the level of pain that comes through actually pushing out a child, even if you get a C-section, there's still some pain that's happening unconsciously while you're under the drugs. That's what's happening right now. This is the baby right now. The baby's being pushed out. It's a little constipated right now. I'm trying to get it out of me. Need a little laxative. I understand why there are writers. There's this old saying, but it's not that. They say that that you're probably like, oh, he's stalling right now. Whatever, I don't care. They said that Hemingway. They said Ernest Hemingway said this, but it's not. So it's a misquote. I don't even know if he actually said it at all versus it just being quoted incorrectly. Writing drunk and editing sober. It's like, well, that's why that dude was just writing with no inhibitions. He was just going at it, and then he goes back in a sober mind and then just starts to edit and shape things up. But no, but that's not the right phrase, by the way. The right phrase is, let me see. He preferred to write sober. All right. Actually, I'll share this with you. It says writers love to cite Ernest Hemingway's famous advice: write drunk, edit sober. But not only did he not actually say that, he practically said the opposite. Writers love to cite his famous advice, but the trouble is he never actually said it. Of course, many people already knew the quote was apocryphal, meaning there's no source attributing the quote to him at all. In fact, the closest quote probably first appeared in the 1964 novel Reuben Reuben by Peter de Vries, and its misattribution to Hemingway may have been influenced by William Faulkner's drinking habits. But as we have learned today, it wasn't just that Hemingway didn't speak those precise words. He actually advised sobriety in the writing process. Because some people, feel like creative vices is what's needed, like smoking, drinking, whatever it is, in order to just like be creative. Well, not for Hemingway. Writer's Digest Books editor Amy Jones was hunting through their archives today and ran into a 1964 article about Hemingway based on an interview conducted by Edward Stafford before Hemingway's death in 1961. Wow, Writer's Digest has been around for a minute. And so they're showing I guess I can show you guys so that you can see it right quick. 1 second, hold on. I guess I need an extra monitor now, so I can just show y'all multiple things at the same time. Hemingway, so y'all can see here. See that? That's what Hemingway said. The passage. Let me zoom in. So my wife needled him. Is it true, she asked, that you take a pitcher of martinis up to the tower every morning when you go up to write? Jesus Christ, Papa was incredulous. Have you ever heard of anyone who drank while he worked? You're thinking of Faulkner. He docks sometimes. I think that says docks. And I can tell right in the middle of a page when he's had his first one. Besides, he added, who in the hell would mix more than one martini at a time anyway? Having been guilty of that heresy any number of times, but recognizing his mastery in this field also, I let the question remain rhetorical. Interesting. So the transcribed, in case the image is too grainy to read. Oh, this is, we just read this. All right. So interesting. That last line from Stafford is pretty hilarious too. Huh? What do you think? Does a little booze unleash your creativity like Faulkner, or do you prefer sobriety while writing in the writing process like Hemingway? Very interesting. Okay. Well, so interesting stuff. Okay, let me actually get back to sharing my work. Guess I procrastinated long enough, huh? All right. My esophagus blocked. I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't. I turned around and walked back. It felt like I shouldn't. If I grabbed the mic that night, I wouldn't have stage fright. But that even sounds like, the mic that night, stage fright. The sage in me knew this wasn't an immediate call. The irony, I'm talking out loud. I have to do this while I'm writing. The irony of running into a street poet the week before or days before. That was last week, Friday. And then days later, this gentrified cipher, because that's exactly what it was. It was a gentrified cipher, y'all. It was not like a real cipher. It was low-key whack. But who am I to say that when I didn't even go up and share, right? There are other people apparently who had the courage to do so. But the sage in me knew this wasn't an immediate call. I don't want to use the word spit, but call to deliver? Nope. Immediate call. Here, I'd probably put like some sort of dash or something so that I know that it's a separate. It was voicemail left for me to address this challenge when I return. All right. Some of this that you can see, you just kind of have to write it out, like just write out the feeling of it, the vibes of it, and then you can go back um and then refine it. If you want to continue streaming on Instagram, you can remove this destination from the yeah. Ah, okay. So apparently, Instagram has removed the live, which I get. Okay. So I'll try it again. Give me 1 second, y'all. Um okay. I'm not necessarily sure what happened, by the way, y'all. So let me just check and see what's going on here. Bear with me if you're still around. If not, thank you for rocking with me for this long. Um, hmm. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be saved, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. And I guess there's nobody that's on right now that's going to help me out. So let's figure this out. Let's figure this out myself. Okay. Hopping into it right now. Let's see. Okay. And logging in. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. Well, it doesn't have yeah, it doesn't have the posts in there. So I don't know if that means that it's not there. Um it did talk about like archiving videos. So I'm gonna see if I can get that set up and then we should be good. All right. Let's see right quick. All right. How do we do that? Let's see. Videos. Okay. Archive your streams on Instagram if you like your live streams on Instagram to be automatically saved when your stream is finished. You can enable live archive in your settings. Only possible when using the Instagram mobile app, which I'm doing right now. So you go to profile picture, and then you put in those settings tab, settings and privacy, Boom, boom, boom. Well, I have account privacy, so maybe that's what it would be. Nope, that's not what it is. I guess it is settings and privacy. Well, where is that? There's Privacy Center, but that's in support. Account Center, your activity notifications, insights, greater tools, cross posting, invites, device permissions, archiving and downloading. Obviously, it's going to be different. Good, because these are outdated instructions. Save live to archive. Automatically save your live video to your archive. Only you can see your archive. Live videos are archived for 30 days. Ah, okay. So apparently, oh, by the way, y'all, yeah, I haven't really been using Instagram like that. So I don't even know or didn't know that by streaming or with live, that actually the live doesn't stay in their post, which is interesting. So I guess it's archived for me, not, I'm assuming, yeah. So let's check and see. That, yeah, I think it's just for me because it's not going to show. It's not going to show. Okay. Well, here's what I'm going to do. Since I'm already here, okay, I'm going to just give Instagram everything, huh? Hold on. Oh, Instagram. Whatever. Oh, Instagram. Yeah. Okay. Well, guys, give me 1 second. Just kind of figuring out this one part, and then we'll be good. We'll be good. All right. You're just gonna have to rock with it, y'all. I think that yeah, Instagram only streams for an hour, so we're just gonna have to let it go unless I do it again. And I think that, yeah, I don't want to discard it, and yet it's saying that I should. Okay. Well, from the desktop version, we'll see. We'll see if that if it actually saved. It may not have. I know some of you all are probably on, the other platforms like, why is he talking about? Well, it's because this is what I'm doing. I'm doing what I'm doing. Okay. We just gonna keep rocking until and this is why I was, very intentional on thinking about like some of the other live stream opportunities like Twitch. But I think this feels and has more probably feels a little bit more appropriate, I think. Who knows? Okay. But for those of you that might be on YouTube or X, let's get it. We still here. Okay. It was a voicemail left for me to address this challenge when I returned home. Will I call back? I wasn't sure if I would. But so you see how it now turns from street corner drugs to phone calls. wasn't sure I would, but this is me dialing the number. Like this actual piece. All right. And maybe I should put this piece is me dialing the number. Every character placed onto this sheet, because it is a sheet technically. I'm using the Ulysses app too, by the way, if anybody's wondering. Um, every character placed into this sheet. The declaration of my I don't know. Commitment? No. Mind if I said I was committed, but I am willing to explore. Declaration of my what? Of my. Let's talk about it. Try to re-explore this long lost love of Is it a long lost love of words? I don't really think it is, but we're just gonna roll with it right now. Who would have thought that night would do? Who would have thought that night? So the emphasis, right? Because you can say who would have thought that night, like that night with a capital N. Ooh, maybe who would have thought that night would do this? Like the name night, night personified. No, who would have thought that? Who would have thought that night would do this? I'm probably going to change that. It was almost as if I was ambushed to start it up again. Puff, puff, all I wanted to do was get my steps in, but I was in store for more than just a 10K completion. Speaking of which, I do need, it's 10 o'clock now, but I do need to get my steps in. On the corner of 24th was a group of misfits exchanging energy. I walking past, I didn't expect any of it to rub off on me, even though I was intrigued. I smelled the scent of camaraderie and excitement as each one filled their lungs and puffed out words that were heard less than a block away. Looking at the crowd, I wasn't impressed to partake, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't curious. I refused to join. So I kept walking and was almost in the clear until I hear, who's the next MC that wants to go next? I can probably reword that in a way that rhymes with here so that there's a flow there. Almost in the clear until I hear, who's the next MC? If they dare. No, dare here. No, that doesn't really work, but I felt that in my chest. Oh, well, next with chest. I felt that in my chest. My heart stopped and dropped to my stomach. My esophagus blocked. I wanted to vomit, but couldn't. This right here is good. This is creating some momentum. Reaction to the catalyst. Reaction to the call to adventure. I felt it. Well, who wants to go next from here? Who wants to go next? I felt that in my chest. My heart stopped and dropped to my stomach. My esophagus blocked. I wanted to vomit, but I couldn't. I turned around and walked back, but felt like I shouldn't. If I grabbed the mic that night, I wouldn't have stage fright, but the sage in me knew this wasn't an immediate call. It was a voicemail left for me to address the challenge when I returned home. Will I call back? I wasn't sure if I would, but this piece is dialing. I wasn't sure if I would, but this piece is me dialing the number. Every character placed into this sheet is a declaration of my desire to explore this long lost love of words. Like I said, y'all, some of this is just really going to be about delivery. All right. Okay. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm getting a little tired, and I am going to get those steps in because I still got to do that. All right. Trainer was getting on me about just making sure that over the weekend, I got to stay active. By the way, side note, I'll say this probably again sometime. The reason why getting steps is crucial is because it actually aids in shedding the visceral fat, the fat that's like around, stomach, the bat wings, all that stuff, right? It aids in shedding it off. It's because you're training the body to do something with the calories that you're taking in. Like it's like, okay, I'm walking, I need to burn it. So it's getting used to burning. Like if you just eat and you don't move, you don't do anything, the body's not going to do anything with it. But as soon as you start walking, especially after like, you're eating, it knows, okay, calories in, you got to burn it. Even if you're a hard gainer, walking is still helpful. I know you're probably thinking, no, I just need to eat a lot and just like stay sedentary and not do anything. Lies. You have to. You got to. Why? Because even if you are skinny and you are choosing to gain weight by obviously eating more, because that's like the basis, right? You just have to eat more. You are also with those macros is storing a lot of fat, and the fat isn't being burned. So it's just like building up until, you just gain weight, but you're not going to be necessarily muscular if that was the goal. Now, if you just want to, put on some pounds and you don't really care how it looks on you, then go. I'm talking to the hard gainers out there. Like, yeah, go ahead. You ectomorphs, just eat. Just eat. Don't even worry about walking. But those of you that know better, you know that you also need to get the steps in and work on that, shedding that visceral fat. All right, listen, y'all. I'm out. I will see y'all when I see y'all, which will be tomorrow. And I guess we're gonna get back to this. We're gonna work on this. All right. We shall. And I probably will come on a little bit earlier. I'm not happy with this is the over see the high achiever teetering or going on the overachievement side. I'm not necessarily happy with this. However, I am happy with the process. I'm happy with the fact that I decided for the first time in a very long time, putting it out there. Okay. I will end with sharing with you guys when I did this before, during the pandemic. Listen, pandemic pulled out a lot of creativity in a lot of people. You're just at home doing nothing, stay home, stay safe. But what am I going to do? And let me see if I can share it with y'all. I need to unshare first because I don't want y'all up in my business like that. Like, all of my writing business. I don't know what I got in here. Some Dear Journal type stuff. Let's see. Because it might even be in this app. Let's see. Oh, maybe not. It was called The Man Who Steals. I'll leave out with this. And even this one isn't even fully done. I don't think I have it in here. All right, y'all. I might just have to leave y'all on that note. For whatever reason, and there's no search function in here. Oh, y'all tripping. I know you have a search function, Ulysses. Oh, you know why? It's just tucked away. That's why. And that's the problem. It's a search function, but it's not a search function for everything. Yo, that's crazy. Hey, Ulysses, y'all gotta fix that. Y'all gotta fix this. I don't like that. I know y'all trying to be minimalist, but there's definitely room to improve on this. Unless for some reason I'm not catching it. The search function for like search everything in the app. Everything I've ever written. It's not here. All right. Well, all right, guys. Well, I guess I won't be able to show it to you all. And it's kind of cycling through some things. Yeah, don't see it. All right. Well, it's somewhere. I can't find it now, but at some point I'll probably find it again in a different app. But I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Let's do this tomorrow. And listen, drop me a message. Like if you're like, yo, this is cool. I want to see more of this. Yes. If it's boring you, then maybe you shouldn't. But I kind of am feeling this kind of long form, just putting the stuff out there. And then who knows, maybe at some point I can hire somebody to chop stuff up and make it all slice and dice and, a little spice. Not zesty, but spicy. All right. I'm off this thing, y'all.